Welcome back to Darren Models. So in this video I'm going to be attaching the body to the chassis and doing all of the extra pieces for the body to finish it all off. So the first thing I'm going to do is to install the glass and the lights. So for that I'm using this canopy glue that I've got that tends to do quite a good job on the clear parts. It doesn't act like super glue where it frosts or anything like that, and it allows you to manoeuvre it and work with it if you need to. So to start off with, as you can see on this, I've got the window all painted up. These are where it was removed from the sprue, but they're not going to be visible, so I've not cleaned them up or anything, and I've attached the strip for the lines there, this decal that comes in the kit. So what I'm going to do is install that in there where it wants to be, and then I'm just going to run a bead of the glue around the inside of there. So I'm going to use a cocktail stick and then just apply a bit of glue in there just to hold it in place. And this stuff dries clear as well, so don't need to worry about having white bits or anything like that in there. So I'll get it so that it runs under the joint a little bit and then just work it round. So I'm just going to go around the whole thing like this. It's not a particularly neat job that I'm doing, but it doesn't matter for this particularly, as long as I don't get any on the glass. But again, because it's the way it is, it'll clean up okay anyway. So you can see the screen's lifting there. So I'll just get the glue around it under there. A bit more in there. And then I can push that down and make sure it's a good fit. And if you need to, you can do the same around the other edge, on the bottom edge as well. I'll see how that dries to start with, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to leave that like that and let it dry and clean up any overspill, because to be honest it's a bit of a mess that. And then I'll come back on the next section. Okay, so that glue's pretty much dry now. So while that was setting, I've put the mirror in, which as you'll see is at an angle, which I like to do to lean it towards the driver's side, just to give it a bit of more character. I've also put on this badge on the back window, which is one of the photo etch parts. And when I made that, I just, because it's recessed, I painted it red and then sanded over the top to show it through. And all I used for sticking that on was Future Clear, which is actually something that people use for varnishing the floors and stuff. But for that sort of application, it works as well as anything else. I was going to use the same glue as the windscreen, but I'm not sure how well it works with the photo etch, and I know that the Future should hold that. So something I did before, which I didn't mention, was the door locks. I just got some round photo etch washers that I put in there on both sides, just to give it a bit of depth. And I've done the bare metal foil on the lights, and I've put that rear decal on, which I need to put some clear in that, which I'll do when all this is done. But the next bit that I'm going to do is start installing the lights. So I'll start at the rear section and I'll install this one here, which is going to sit there. So, and unfortunately I broke it when I was cutting it off and it's just split again. So hopefully once it's glued in here, it's going to hold in place. So I'm just going to put a bead of this down here. And then I'm going to put a little bit along there, on the bottom edge, where it's actually going to be. And then I'll glue this one on. Goes on there, like that. And once that one's in place, I'll go and do the same on the other side. Put that one on there like that. So I'll let those go and set again, because I'm a bit concerned about that one being broke. And then I'll come back in a minute. Okay, I've taken the opportunity while I was doing that to move the camera back a bit, just to make it a bit easier for you to see what's going on, because I think I was a bit close a minute ago. So what I'm going to do now is same again in this area. Just put bead around there and then get the light fitting, and you need to make sure these go the right way around because it's got a different curve to it. If I try to put it on that side, it doesn't line up properly, so you need to make sure you get them the right way around, right side. So you see this glue's oozing out there a bit, but once it's dried that'll just peel off. So it's one of the things that I like about using this glue for this sort of thing, that it's quite forgiving and it doesn't matter if you make a mess because you can just clean up afterwards. Whereas if I was doing super glue for this, then I'd be in a whole heap of trouble, but I'd obviously be going a bit more careful if I was using super glue anyway. So that's that one in now. So you can see with bare metal foil that it gives it that sort of reflective look with the lights, as opposed to it just being flat or something. So I've got the same to do with the two front lights which are here. So I'm going to do the same process again. Make sure I get the right side, which is that one. That'll fit in there nicely. And I'll do that one there. So, go and drop it, not what I want to be doing. So what I need to do next is I'll do the glass for the headlights. which I've not actually cut off the fret yet. So I'll go and do that and I'll come back. Okay, managed to find it now on a completely different bench the other side of the room for some reason. So I've no idea how it got there, but I thought I'd just show you how I go about cleaning up these pieces. So first of all, when I cut it off, I leave a decent amount sticking out on there, and then I get some sanding sticks and then just sand that down a reasonable amount so that most of it's gone. So it's about like that, and then go down a couple of grades. Got the next grade down, we'll take most of it, what's left off, and then the fine one just to finish it off. And then what you're left with is there's a bit of flash on there. It's a nice clean edge on there, whereas on the glass that you saw what I was installing before, the main section, you could see where it was broken off, but because that was hidden areas, I didn't bother doing that. I just cut it flush with a knife. But obviously you can see the damage that causes doing that. So for bits like this that are going to be visible, you obviously don't want it to look like that. So same again on this, just a bit of glue. Just going to run it as a bead around here. Try and go a bit neater this time, unlike before. And what I've got on here, I don't know whether it shows on camera, is there's a notch at the bottom of that, and there's a notch at the bottom of these lens sections. It fits into. So just push that in nicely, and I'll move on to the other one. I've gone on less again with that one. So again, notch to the bottom, just squeeze that in. Then any excess I can, like I said before, I can peel off when it's dry. Your other option is to get a cotton bud that's slightly damp, and then you can just wipe it off like that, and then it's gone anyway. So that's the lights installed. So next bit that I'm going to do is there's some photo etch to go on the underside, which I'm going to use super glue for that. So again, this is in the hobby design set, and I've painted them up and cut them off and everything so they're ready to go straight on. So I've got some super glue in my little tub that I have. So the first one is going to go here, and in the kit, if I can find it, bear with me, you've got this piece here, if it focuses, which has got a bit of texture to it, but it's a big thick solid piece, and it tells you to paint that black and then install that. But I'm going to use the photo etch piece because it's a bit thinner and a bit neater. So that's been painted up, but you can see it's thin mesh. So what I'm going to do is run a bead of super glue around the outside of this. Just get a bit of excess off, and then I'll get a pair of tweezers to hold it to make life a bit easier, and then in fact I'll hold it to the side to make my life easier, and then you've got a couple of notches there that just sits into. Of course, I put the super glue on the wrong side because that's a specific way around, which I didn't realise. So, never mind. It'll just be on the inside, which won't be seen anyway. So, but you can tell that I've not checked this piece. I keep saying, make sure you test fit stuff, and obviously not following my own advice today. So put it into the notches there, and it fits properly this time. So I'll just push it down a bit, make sure it's sat nicely. And you see from the inside that you've got that nice mesh, or from the outside rather. And then you've got a couple of other pieces which I'll put in here, which I won't bother showing you on camera to do that. But one final thing that they gave you as far as mesh goes was these two pieces here. This one here and this one here. And they're designed to go down here. And as you can see, I've painted these because on the back of them you've got the notches that the chassis attaches to. So rather than messing around trying to work out a different way of attaching it and getting the chassis to stay on, or the body to stay on the chassis rather, I thought it's easier just to paint those and leave them as they are. I don't think it really takes anything away from it too much, so I'm going to leave those as they are. So as I said, I'll go and do those other bits off camera, and then I'll come back in a moment. Okay, so some of you may already see on my Facebook page or Instagram that I've made these with magnets, so I've got the option of holding them on or off. So underneath here I've put a couple of magnets, and then the same where the front spotlights would go. There's actually holes already on this side that you drill out if you wanted to attach them. So with this one, that just fits there, and then these are directional, so they'll only go on one side, and then I've got my spotlights. So if I want to display it as a sort of night session version, I can do, and then if I want to display it as a daytime version, there's no evidence that the spots are on there. So again, I've put some magnets on the inside of there, and on the backs of these where the mounting plugs were, I just drilled through and then put the magnets so they're in the right place. I've also added a couple of, if they show up, photo etch washers or nuts on the tops of there, and I've done the same on the roof scoop as well, just to give it a little bit extra detail. So next bit I'm going to do is to attach the body to the chassis. So just give me a second and I will do that next. Okay, so on with attaching the chassis. what you've got is a couple of notches on the back of the bodywork here, and they line up with these notches here, and then you've got the ones that I mentioned on the front before, which line up with a couple of notches here and here. So a couple of things to bear in mind on this is the position of the mirror and the roll cage. You just need to be careful to make sure that they don't interfere with each other. I've also had to move the position of the fuel cell because it's catching on the rear window, which I didn't realise when I installed it that would happen. So, but that's why you test fit things. So as I'm pushing that down, it just clears that mirror nicely, and if I hold that in place, and then I can just carefully lever that down to attach those front bits. Not the easy thing to do, but there you go. So you've got the two back ones, if you can see them, one down there and one down there, and then the two front ones you can just see inside there and inside there how they're fitted. And then your mirror position is just there if it picks up on camera, just behind the roll cage. And then I've got the fuel cell, which now clears the window after I've moved it. So that's the bulk of it done. So a couple of bits to do next. So the first one that I'm going to do, just to finish the body off, is to attach the spoiler. And I'm not quite sure why, but it's one of those areas that I've really been looking forward to doing. I think it just looks a bit empty without it, so this to me is kind of making it feel like I'm actually getting close to the final bit. So I'm going to use super glue for this. I'm just going to put a tiny bit on each of those notches. I'm not going to put loads on because I don't want to damage anything. I certainly don't want to cause problems with paint, so just carefully line those up. That's the only place I'm going to put it. You can see those decals line up reasonably well. Not perfect, but I think that's more on the decals than anything else. And then there's a couple of bits underneath to attach once it's on the chassis, so I'll do those next. And they go on here. So you've got a notch underneath there which goes in that hole there. And then it gives you that scoop at the front. So I'm just going to run a little bead of glue along that edge because it's the only bit that I can see that attaches properly. And then try and find a way of holding it so I can fit it on. So that one goes on there. And then just put it down for a second. Put a bit more glue on this one. And I'll do the same on that side if I don't drop it. Doing well with that today. So that goes on there. So you've got these sort of air scoop things at the front there. And then what I'm going to do is install the roof scoop, which again just a couple bit of super glue on pins, which will then position into those holes. You can't even see where I'm going now. Try that again. There we go. Managed to lose one of the little photo etch washers that I put on the top of there, so I'll go find that in a bit and reattach that. So a couple of other bits that I've got to do is the mirrors, and when I was painting everything else up I put carbon fibre decals over this and then attached the kit decals, and then there's some photo etch on there to give it the mirror look. So that's going to sit there, and then the other one will sit on that side like that. So I'll go off, get some glue and put those on, and then I've got these very fiddly photo etch wipers, which I'm not even sure how well they're going to come up on camera because they're so thin, but they need gluing in as well. So I'll go off and I'll do those. But the last piece I was going to do now was that rear heat shield, because what I've got, I was going to use the photo etch piece which I bent into shape, but looking at reference photos it's more of this sort of texture. So I've got some of this textured material from Model Factory Hero, which I'm going to use. So I've put some masking tape on the photo etch piece, ready for this, so I know what size to do it. So I'm just going to apply that onto there, just do it up in that corner there, and then I'm just going to cut around it with a sharp knife. And now that it's in position where I can see the exhaust, I know that it's going to be in the right place. Take the masking tape off. Don't need that on there. And then this stuff is sticky back, so I can just peel it off the backing paper and position it where I need it. Put it around there in the centre. And fold it up. And that just gives that bit extra detail in there. So I've also got another photo etch badge to go on the bonnet there, which has got the kit decal over it. So I'm not quite sure on that, on the sort of decal side of it, but looking at reference photos of them, they are actually raised parts. They're not stuck on like all of the other logos and everything. So I thought I'd follow the same pattern from what I've seen and go with the photo etch on that. So I'll go off and I'll do those bits, and then I'll show you what the next bit is. Okay, so last bit for this video is doing some of the photo etch details. So if you can see that there, that's one of the bonnet catches that's made up from the Hobby Design set. And there's two pieces for that. You've got this piece here, and you've got this piece here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this one and I'm going to bend the pins up on it. I'll bend something like that. And I'll bend that way. So then let's just go with these tweezers so you can see. Focuses. You've got this bent bracket. It's a bit difficult for it to focus on this such a small piece. But then you've got this other piece as well. The idea with this is that hoop bends over. So actually bends at the bottom there. That bends back on itself, and then that piece sits on top. So if I get a bit of super glue, I'm just going to place a little bit on that end there, and I can pick this up, tuck that under the hoop, and then hold that there. So hopefully you can see that on camera. So it's a 3-dimensional pin, and then once the glue's dried on those two, then I can attach them to the model. So put that one with that there. So the next bit is I'm going to do the bonnet catch pieces. So we've got 4 of these to do. So that's the first one. Again, this tiny little thing, and I've got the holes drilled out ready for that. That's one of the front ones. So what I need to do is pick that up with my finger and put the rivet through there, and then I'm going to attach that to the body. What I'm going to do is move the camera a bit closer to make it a bit easier for you to see. Okay, so now that's a bit closer, hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing and I don't keep getting my hand in the way. So I've got the rivet that I've put through the piece there. I'm just going to apply a dot of super glue to the tip of that, and then carefully position that in the hole. So, and then that one lift up and we'll go into that top piece there, and then the same on the other side. So if I get my rivet for the top piece, get a bit of glue on it, and then just carefully push that through where it wants to be, like that. So this is the same process, or very similar process to what I did with the dash that I know some of you were asking about. So I'll do the same on the other side. So you can see there the holes, which I did enlarging with a drill bit to make sure that the paint that I've done doesn't snag with it, it doesn't interfere, because obviously I drilled holes out to the right size, and then it's all been painted up, so I just had to go over that a bit with a drill. So I've got the next part off the fret, so I'm just taking that off now. So it's going to be the same process again. So I'll get the rivet and I'm going to put it through that hole like that, and then I'm going to get some super glue and put some on the back of there, and then I'm going to position that in that hole. Right. And then once it's in there, if it doesn't come out again, this one doesn't want to play ball. So there we go. Needed a bit more persuasion for that one to go in. I'm not quite sure why. So I'll pull that up there, ready for the next rivet. We seem to have all wandered off now. Where's it gone? Right, let me go off and find them, wherever they've gone. Probably because I emptied them over my bench. That obviously didn't like it. There we go, got one here. So what I'll do, show you on camera, just dip that carefully in the super glue and then push it into the hole that I've drilled and then push it through like that. And then I've got the same to do with the rear ones. So I've got one there and then the other one's still on the fret. So I'll go off and I'll do those and show you where I'm at, but just before I do that I'll just glue one of these on for you, for those that are interested in seeing that. So I'm just going to hold it like that, and I'll just put a little bit of super glue on the back of it, and then I'm just going to drop it on there, just like that, and then do the same on the one on the other side, and then I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, that's pretty much it for this build. I've got a couple of decals to do, these two to do on the windows, and that one as well. And then it's pretty much done. So there's your bonnet pins and clips, as I was showing you a minute ago, and the rear ones are installed as well now. So last thing I'm going to do is attach the antenna, and there was, I don't know whether you remember seeing it in the last video, where that hole is there was a raised bit with plastic antenna, but I'm going to use this one because I've got it and I can. So it's made up of 3 parts. If I can get them out carefully without losing them. So you've got that piece there, which is the cap, you've got the pin, and then you've got the base. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to get a little bit of super glue on the pin and poke it if I can, if it doesn't move on me, into that hole. So I've got the top of the antenna on, and then I've got the other one to do, which goes in there like that. So again, a little bit of super glue, and into the hole. And that's the antenna made up. So that's going to go in that hole there. So I need a bigger drill bit. So what I'll do for that is I'll get my micrometer out and then measure that bottom part there, which is 0.5. So get 0.5 mil drill bit, which is this one here, and carefully open that hole up. And then the antenna will sit in there, like that. In some fashion. Once it's got some glue in the hole, it'll hold up. I'm not going to glue that in yet, anyway, because I want to paint the bottom of that black. Just that bottom ring. So I'll go and paint that black, and then I will get it glued up, and then post some photos up to show you the complete thing. But that's pretty much it, as you can see. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.